Welcome to LifeBlood. This is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful Bob Doyle. Bob, are you ready to do this?
I am more than ready.
All right, let's go. Bob is a mindset and brain rewire expert. He's creating lasting change through brain rewiring. He was featured in The Secret. He is a voiceover artist and the host of the Bob Doyle Show as well. Bob, I'm excited to have you on. If you would, tell us a little bit about your personal life, some more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Sure. Well, I originally started out in my professional world as a broadcaster. I knew when I was a kid, I knew that's what I wanted to do, use my voice, do characters, just basically be a goofball. And I did that for about 7 years and felt like I was creatively suppressed, man. Don't you see what I can do? So I got impatient and jumped out of that industry and jumped around for a bunch of other things, really just looking for a way to express myself creatively, because that is what drives me. It drives everything I do. It's the underlying theme of everything. But really, since I never landed on anything. I tried to start some businesses. Nothing was working. I was like, well, on paper, I should be doing well. I mean, I'm educated. I got the goods. What's happening here? So that's what had me look originally down some more metaphysical paths, like, okay, what's the invisible answer for all of this? And that's when I was introduced to meditation and visualization, and the whole idea that we could create our reality. So to push that long story short, I had some aha moments around all of this. I learned about this law of attraction thing, like I said, the lights went on about a lot of things. I needed sort of a scientific approach to it because I just was not raised in any kind of a woo-woo family. But I had what I needed to get some results with it. And I turned around and I just started sharing it in an online program that was out there for about 3 years. It was found by the producers of The Secret, and they said, hey, why don't you be a part of this project? So I said, sounds good. And then that changed everything for me, as you might imagine, because I went from being like this former broadcaster who was sort of in this industry and just sort of sharing some ideas to now like millions of people have seen my face alongside of Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, all these other people. I'm like, who do I be right now? So I had a couple of years of identity crisis until live streaming came along. And then I could be that creative person again and sort of have fun and be silly with my message too, and just kind of communicate it in a way that felt good to me. But 20 years of teaching law of attraction and watching the frustration people have trying to figure it out and get it just right, made me realize that transformation is really a brain job. It's about rewiring your brain so that your autopilot behavior gets the results you want that are different than the ones you're doing now. So what do we have to do to rewire the brain? Yeah, you can learn about the law of attraction and do all those techniques to do that. But I have seen over 20 years, it's the slow way. We can get right to it. And that's the work I do now.
Nice. Well, I certainly appreciate that. I could ask you a bunch of questions, but let's just get right to that. So what is the slow way?
The slow way is trying to understand. Now, again, law of attraction conversation, 20 years. Now, what about the energy and the vibration? If I have a negative thought, well, can I grow a second head? I mean, these are the types of things I was dealing with for 20 years. It's like, hey, what about who do you want to be? Not so much about what's all the stuff you want to magically get. So there's just so many obstacles you put in your way when you slip into the magical thinking mode around the law of attraction and expecting the universe to do everything and you not take the action and expect everything just to change and you not. So that's the slow way.
So let's skip that one then. Jump to the fast way.
Yeah. So we just have to look at, how did we learn anything? How did we get programmed the way we are? Where did our autopilot behavior come from? Well, it came from consistent messages, either from others or ourselves after we were able to create our own messages, just reinforced, and then every piece of new information came in and we compared it to the old, and this is how we craft our reality. And we make meaning out of every moment based on all of that wiring. And the meaning we make drives the next action we take, and the action we take gets a result. If you don't like your results in your life, and it's been this way for a while, we can trace it back to the wiring. So if we want to change the wiring, we just do what we did in the first place to get it. And that is to give you new information on a consistent basis, on an ongoing basis, and let the biology do its thing. Your brain needs time, it needs consistency and persistence to be able to grow new neural pathways, and people want it overnight. It doesn't work like that, but that's okay. The brilliant part is our brain is ready to change, but we can't keep going back and forth and holding on to old stories about why we can't have this, because our brain will say, okay, well, then I guess that's the truth. So it's all biology. And the more consistent and persistent and more emotional and the more non-negotiable our vision is, the faster we will go through this rewiring process. But it is a process.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I've heard about how I like to think about it as kind of like hardware. Some of it was downloaded to me. I don't know if it's hardware or software, but we're downloaded through DNA and then childhood experiences and just how I've been doing things and my patterns and my habits. So it's actually my brain is wired that way.
Yeah.
So if I seek to change my patterns and habits or change my life, I need to be intentional about it, not negotiate with it, and create new patterns, pathways, wiring.
Yes, because look, if we look at the things that we've learned in our life that have been non-negotiable, things like walking and talking and reading and writing, the human stuff, you got to know this to be a human on the planet, right? We do all that and we made so many mistakes and we fell down and we just like, oh, when am I ever going to get this? But we kept going. And now it's just natural. But when it comes to our personal development, we don't like that discomfort. And it's like, it just shows how negotiable it is. Walking, non-negotiable. Living the life of my dreams, well, I don't know if I can. I'll try a couple of things, but if I don't get it in like 6 months or a year, it's clearly the universe doesn't want it for me. And so that, again, that kind of mindset is what the personal development industry has done to people, that they don't see the logic. Like we learn, we're just talking about learning. We're learning how to be a different way, just like we would learn a new language, new information. We study it, we make mistakes, we make adjustments, we keep going and let the world respond to our new action so that we get different results. It's how we do everything. And yet we make this so freaking complicated. Yeah, but the energy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Do we give up on things so quickly because because those existing wiring and pathways are keeping us moving in this direction? It's like our orbit. It's our inertia.
Yeah, well, again, our wiring determines our truth. We don't think about the fact that we're making meaning and this is, this is subjective. It's just like, this is the truth. But it's not. We can look out, if we just take a moment and look outside of ourselves, we can see that clearly other people have different beliefs about what's true about for themselves and others, and they're accomplishing things that we're saying, oh, that's impossible. Well, they learned a behavior. They had a pattern of behavior that got them the education, the contacts, whatever it is they needed to live that dream. They made that non-negotiable. But if it's not non-negotiable, then your old wiring has a whole lifetime of reasons and evidence to say, well, of course you can't do that. You have no idea. There's no experience. You don't know anybody. You don't have the time. How would you? And it's perfectly logical to you. So you don't feel like you're giving up or quitting or whatever. It's just like, well, that's just the truth for me. But other people are wired differently and take other actions. So you can rewire yourself to think like that person if you're willing to go through the discomfort. See, we really freaking hate discomfort. Everybody says we're moving towards pleasure and away from pain. And so when we come up against a discomfort that we're creating for ourselves because we've decided we're going to take on this new thing, we're going to be this, well, that's like that's too optional to us. Well, it's a goal for us. We have to make these things like non-negotiable. And so to do that, we need support from the outside. The reason that the personal development industry has such an abysmal success rate is because of wiring. It's not because the teachers are wrong or the programs are wrong or any of that stuff. It's just because the people going through a self-help approach to personal development will always, without fail, eventually reach the limits of their wiring. No matter how intelligent, spiritual, enlightened they are, they're going to reach theirs. And everything, and then if they don't get any other information from the outside, that's all they got to work with. So they'll stop. Eventually, they will justify, well, this is it. This is the all I can grow. But somebody else who's trained to see your stuff can give you 12 million different ways you could make meaning out of that. That's just as true or untrue as what you're doing. Let's come up with something that's empowering. Let's come up with a meaning that moves you into action toward your vision.
All that makes sense to me. So we need to come up with a meaning that will move us into action.
Right.
So walk me through that?
Well, we have choices. It's just using our imagination. See, this is the thing. Our brain is the miracle. It is the ultimate reality creation machine. And it is through imagination that we create anything. Right? I mean, an inventor has a vision for something. It's in their imagination. It doesn't exist. And then they go after it. Well, it's the same thing here. We just have to have a vision for who we want to become and see in that vision and feel in that vision all the benefits and value that being that person will have, not just to yourself, but to others in the world by you playing full out and feeling it and understanding and using your imagination to say, well, what behavior does that version of me exhibit that I'm not doing right now? And of that behavior, what could I do right now? It doesn't have anything to do with how much money I make or where I live or the people I know, because too many people are waiting for all of the stuff to occur until they can be that person. And of course, that makes no sense whatsoever. It is the person who is being consistent, who they are, which will get the results and have the meetings and have the circumstances show up that will get them logically to where they want to go. But the people who have this sort of like, well, if I just visualize it and let the universe bring it to me mentality, they're not getting it.
You need to put action behind it.
You have to. We are part of the universe. We are not separate from the universe. We're not asking the universe for stuff. The universe, if this is the most woo-woo thing I'll say, the universe is asking us to freaking go for it. We were spawned into this existence, this miracle of configuration of energy with our range of emotions and the senses and all of it, and a vision and a passion and something that's pulling us through to give us the juice of life, and the reality creation machine to make it happen. We're here to do it. The only reason we're not is because in those first 0 to 7 years, we were at the mercy of the belief systems and attitudes and opinions of the people who raised us. And if they weren't wired for any of success, or, well, our family just doesn't do that, or rich people are evil, and that's your foundational fabric of reality, you got a little bit of work to do. But you can do it. You just got to really want to.
Reality creation machine. Like, I absolutely love that.
Everything goes through it. Every moment of our experience of reality goes through that brain. It is what determines, do I like this? Do I not? Am I there? Am I halfway there? Do I like me? Do I like you? Any of it goes through this. And we miraculously have conscious control over how that sucker works.
It is miraculous.
Yep.
For somebody who has shiny object syndrome and I'm always chasing new opportunities, is that me trying to sabotage myself? Is that a good thing? How do I know what to pursue, what not to?
Yeah, sometimes we got to really pay I do a personality quiz with everybody I work with, a transformation personality quiz, and one of the types that you test for is a seeker, and it's just exactly what you described. There's several reasons people jump from program to program. Sometimes it's just simply, it really isn't a fit. Like, no, this philosophy is not at all where I'm going. More often than not, it is either that shiny object syndrome, or that one seems easier, or that guru's more famous, or it promises less time, whatever that is. But that's generally all driven by you're getting uncomfortable with the process you're taking. Something about it is pushing you in a way and it doesn't feel right, and you want to get out of discomfort, and a new program comes up and you go, well, maybe I'll try that. And just let go of all that discomfort and try again, and then try again, and then try again. And that's the problem. We just need to stick with it. If a program really resonates with you, you see it through, and you focus on, it's not the program that's doing the work. It's you. You are the one who needs to change your thoughts, your actions, and your state of being. The program doesn't do it. And a lot of times the seeker is looking for the program to do it.
That makes sense. We've probably all been guilty about that, but that's why you need to be really brutally honest with yourself and not negotiate.
Yeah, the self-honesty is the hard part. On so many levels, but it really comes down to the stories we tell ourselves and others about why we are where we are, and justifying it. Well, that person did that. I'd be so much further if that hadn't happened. All those stories. Yeah, well, I was born here, and okay, you keep telling that story and you will be bound to it forever. The person you want to be, you aspire to be, the person they don't have that story. They have no room in their life for that story. You have to give it up right now because it's not serving you. It's stopping you. Tell it. And by the way, a lot of the meaning you make out of the story or the events in the story, you made them all up. You made them all up. You made meaning based on your wiring. So that's not really true too, fundamentally, universally. So make up a lie that serves you. Tell yourself something about you or your beliefs or what's possible for you that feels completely unreal right now because you don't have any evidence of it, and you've been telling yourself this other thing for your entire life, which isn't true. So now tell this new lie to yourself and watch what happens as you act in alignment with that new story about what's possible. It's not like you're going to have amnesia and forget all those stories. You're just not going to tell them anymore and get emotionally engaged and point to them as a reason. Later, you can tell those stories of like, yeah, I really told those stories and that happened, but you're not attached. You're not letting it guide your action one way or the other. It's part of your journey.
Well, that's a powerful one right there for sure. Bob, the people are ready for your difference making tip. What do you have for them?
Hey, if you're a human being with a human brain, your brain can change. So any of this, because people process information, conversations like this, and there's this one underlying thing: will this work? Will it work for me? Will it work for me? If you're a human with a brain, yes, it will work for you. It's working right now, maybe not for you, but neuroplasticity, the ability to change your brain, is something we all have. So all you need to decide is, how do I want to change it? And then come up with the new conversations and actions to support that change.
Well, I think that is great stuff. That definitely gets it. Come on. New conversations and actions to support the change that you are interested in making. I love it. Well, Bob, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you?
Well, a great start is to take that quiz I was talking about, because what it does is it shines some light on your autopilot behavior, which a lot of people aren't aware is there. Once you know it's there, you can be conscious of it during the day and say, hey, maybe I'll make a different choice this time. So the quiz, it's free, it's 60 seconds, multiple choice, couldn't be easier. You can go to tptquiz.com and take that quiz. And then all things Bob are at meetbobdoyle.com, including the quiz and other things.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this much as I did, show Bob your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to tptquiz.com, Bob.
Yes.
Excellent. And take that quick quiz and start figuring this out. And then meetbobdoyle.com.
Correct.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this much as I did, show Bob your appreciation and share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Again, go to tptquiz.com, meetbobdoyle.com, and get started. Thanks again, Bob.
My pleasure.
And until next time, keep fighting the good fight. We are all in this together.